Hello friends, James Stevenson back with another edition of Who's Hating Hard on Tesla Today. I got a viewer suggestion on who should be this week's hater. So first let's check in with Loki and see how he's doing. He is up and alert, no longer resting like usual. Looking around to see what's going on here in the house. Hi Loki. And I will just share my desktop next and say, let's bring up the Twitter. Here we go. Twitter actually isn't what I wanted to bring up. What I wanted to bring up was a browser window that has Twitter in it. So I did a Who's Hating Hard on Tesla Today episode earlier this week on Brad Munkin, and that's what Tesla hater Emperors Without Clothes at Clothes Tesla on Twitter was tweeting about here, saying, clicked on hashtag Tesla Bull James Stevenson tweet and learned he does YouTube shows. So clicked on today's episode, and here he is dissecting at Brad Munkin's tweets from 2019. Crying face emoji. Dude spends his time looking at 3-year-old hashtag TSLAQ tweets. So who should reply to this but Motorhead Brad Munkin, who said most of what I wrote in that tweet is coming to fruition. So go check out that video if you didn't see it already. He could have used my bad predictions about the China plant and done much better. So that's my viewer suggestion for this week from Brad Munkin that I replied to with the thinking face emoji, meaning I will consider making that video, viewer Brad Munkin. So I went and looked to see if I could find anything from Brad Munkin from 2019 about how the China plant would do, his predictions. And I found this thread. I'll just walk you through it. It began with me tweeting this chart of Tesla global vehicle deliveries. I said I've updated my Tesla forecast and associated charts. If Tesla sells more than 97,000 vehicles worldwide in Q4, and I expect they will, then they will have broken their all-time record for global deliveries in 8 of the most recent 9 quarters. And of course, Tesla has gone on to smash those delivery records nearly every quarter since, which is not something Brad Munkin would have predicted at the time, for sure, which you're about to see. So there was a tweet that was deleted by Trumpery45, another TSLAQ member. Not sure if this account has been deleted or if just that tweet was deleted later. But my reply was, okay, here's revenue. So this was the revenue chart at the time. It may look familiar-ish because the trend is still the same now as it was back then. I still update this chart. And Tesla continues to pile on more and more revenue every year as they grow global sales. So here's where Brad replied on October 14th, 2019, saying, I think this chart is more significant than purely record delivery/revenue charts. It implies that Tesla's financials are incredibly fragile. So what's this? It's the accumulated deficit, or they're called accumulated losses on this chart. But this is the total amount of losses for the company cumulatively up until this point in time. That was about the peak. It peaked a little bit over a $6 billion accumulated deficit before it turned around and came right back up, and Tesla now has over a $9 billion retained earnings balance. When it's negative, you call it the accumulated deficit, and when it flips to positive, you call it retained earnings on the balance sheet. So I said it shows only what it shows, that over the past 5 years, Tesla posted more losses than profits. Imagining that this trend will continue unchanged is reasoning by analogy rather than from first principles. When Tesla gross margins improve, both lines will trend up. And both lines did trend up, the revenues and the accumulated losses, as Tesla's gross margins improved. So Brad replied, how will margins improve without a massive restructuring that Tesla can't afford? He means a declaration of bankruptcy. They need to somehow have the number of workers per vehicle and reorganize production, e.g. get rid of the tent, that would cost greater than $1 billion easily. Well, I don't know how he arrived at those conclusions, but the tent is still up and producing vehicles from Fremont. I said, well, there is this little $2.5 billion capital investment in China where labor costs are far lower than California, in a new, more efficient factory that needs less labor per vehicle than Fremont, then Gigafactory 4 in Europe, and Gigafactory 1, copy, paste, dominate. Retweeting Kelvin Yang here, showing the progress of the Tesla Gigafactory 3 in Shanghai. So what did Brad say? He said doesn't help until they get 80% locally sourced components, which is probably about where they are now or better. And I believe the last 10Q said $2 billion adjusted for June and renminbi per dollar. So the exchange rate, he means. One other thing to consider, there's little demand for the Model 3 in China at current prices, average of 2,500 units per month. No profits if they can lower prices. So Brad is saying the maximum demand for Model 3 from a Shanghai plant would be 2,500 units per month. So if you multiply 2,500 by 12, by my math, you get 30,000 units per year worth of demand, is what Brad said. And I replied, you think Model 3 demand in China will forever be 2.5K per month? I mean, you're entitled to your opinion, but I disagree. And Brad said, since March, first month of supply, Model 3 in China has only sold 3.2K per month on average. Wouldn't you consider that weak versus the US? How will it sell more than that, aside from a big price cut? I'm estimating they need to drop the price to $35,000, including 13% VAT. So only $30,000 worth of money to Tesla after tax. And I said, a big price cut has already been announced for Made in China Model 3s, which is osborning sales down to current levels. The next couple of these get a little bit boring with me providing a source for that claim. And then here, Brad comes back with, right, they've not yet cut the price. That's the point. This shows 20% plus higher priced internal combustion engine SUVs outsell the Model 3. So what do we have here? We've got average monthly volume of 13,000 for the Audi A4 and the Mercedes-Benz C-Class here, with the Model 3 only targeting 12,500 per month on average. All right. So I replied, Chinese buyers care about premium brands, the latest technology, cool features, safety, and the environment. Find me any vehicle that gives them more of that for less renminbi than Model 3. Renminbi is Mandarin for the people's money. So it's the Chinese yuan or it's renminbi, whichever one you want to say. BMW and Mercedes-Benz SUVs, which outsell the Model 3 by over 3x and cost over 20% more. It's on the table that I sent above, right, which we just looked at. And I said, if you will reread what I specified and what you replied, I hope you'll see you have described Tesla's market opportunity, not its threat. Tesla can go after Chinese buyers who care about premium brands and everything else on this list by providing those vehicles from a local factory produced in China domestically. And Brad said, true, if they sell the Made in China Model 3 for $30,000 to $35,000. So this is where Brad said Tesla would need to cut the price down to in order to move more than 2,500 units a month. So I said, here's what Tesla has done in the US luxury market since introducing Model 3. Why do you think China, with more income-qualified buyers, a large and burgeoning EV market, nightmarish urban pollution, and healthy government EV incentives, will do worse? So I have a US luxury vehicle chart there. Brad said, China is not the US. They don't buy pickup trucks in China. They also buy more European luxury cars than Teslas. I admit Tesla has brand value, but it's not as high up there as the Europeans, so BMW and Mercedes-Benz. relative to the US, made in China Model 3 will need to be sold at $30,000 to $35,000. I said, you know who else likes to buy European luxury cars? Europeans. Is your investment thesis that Tesla will lose to the superior value propositions of BMW and Mercedes? Are they making better EVs than Tesla makes? And Brad said his investment thesis was that the US has peaked for Tesla at 97,000 units per quarter, which we saw at the very top of this thread. And Europe is next in Q4, so no more demand from Europe. They've plateaued. Then the only growth they'll have is if they can sell Model 3s for 30 to 35,000 in China with financial failure in Q3 or Q4 of 2020 at the latest. So bankruptcy. You can timestamp this. Well, consider yourself timestamped. Here we are. And I replied, okay, Brad Munkin says Tesla will declare bankruptcy by the end of 2020. Here's a screenshot from the article Brad didn't read, linked above, highlight my own. So what's this say? Tesla's $40,000 midsize electric sedan was the most considered model among luxury shoppers in the second quarter. Tesla receives European vehicles as trade-ins, more than double the industry average. So Brad said, thanks for the highlights, that's the US, right? And I said, well, the article was unclear about that, but I would agree. So, around the world, people aren't all that different when it comes to their desire for safety and fun. Really outstanding products don't stay a secret for long. Brad said, you must understand, people around the world are that different when it comes to safety and fun. Why don't they sell Peugeots in the US? Why don't they sell pickups anywhere but the US? Why haven't Europeans bought more Model 3s than Americans? It's a bigger car market. So I shared a little light reading on why Europeans don't buy as many Teslas as Americans. Can I bring this up briefly? Oh, Tesla outsells all gas and diesel passenger vehicles combined in Norway. October 1st, 2019. So Brad said, Norway? You think the rest of Europe pays their people as much to buy EVs? Also, GDP per capita in Norway is 42% higher than Germany. Dude. Teslas are now the #1 selling vehicles. I lost one of my cameras. I'll keep going anyway, though. You can see my screen. I'll go to the share entire desktop view for the remainder of the video. My camera battery died. Okay, so we'll keep going. You think the rest of Europe isn't going to offer EV incentives? Dude. Brad said they'd have to amount to at least the difference in GDP per capita versus Norway, 74,000 versus 52,000. Name one country in Europe where the EV incentives are going as high as Norway's. I can't think of any. So I replied, so your forecast for European governments over coming years is that they will mostly remain unconcerned about taking action on climate change? Interesting. All right. I apologize that my camera battery died, but I will keep going and soldier on. So here's another tweet I found from Brad. You're absolutely right. I don't even think they can do $12,500 per month if they drop the price to $35,000, which would generate losses. China will do them in. Big mistake. And then I've got one more here. Fun fact, Tesla's Model 3 has only sold $2,500 per month this year in China, while BYD's best-selling Yuan has sold $6,800 per month. Not much blame to place on Tesla for now, but wait till Elon Musk is forced to drop the Model 3 SR Plus down to $25,000. Then it'll hurt BYD. Hashtag TSLAQ. Okay, so you're probably wondering by now how much the price of the Tesla Model 3 is and how many Teslas are being sold these days, now that it's 2022. Well, let's take a look. So here's the current price for the Model 3. They did reduce the price recently to 265,900 yuan, inclusive of 11,088 yuan savings from a subsidy. So the actual payment price is 11,088 more dollars than this. or more yuan than this. How many dollars does that convert to? Well, according to Google, 276,988 yuan converts to $38,967. So it's not 25,000, it's not 30,000, and it's not 35,000. It's still, after the price cut, 4,900 more dollars than the high end of Brad's range. So how many vehicles is Tesla selling at those prices? Let's take a look. CPCA reveals Tesla China sold 41,000 Model Y and 30,000 Model 3 in October. It's official, Tesla China was able to sell over 71,000 vehicles last month. And was that a fluke month? No, it was not a fluke month. The upgrades to Giga Shanghai seem to have been successful, as the electric vehicle makers' monthly sales have remained strong since then, with the company posting wholesale figures of over 70,000 vehicles in August, September, and now October. So a little bit better than 2,500 a month, or 3,800 a month, or 12,500 per month. 3 straight months, over 70,000 vehicles. So if you make a quarter out of that, that's over 210,000 vehicles. And if you make a year out of that, that's about 850,000 from Giga Shanghai. So was Brad right that we would have a better video looking at those tweets? You tell me in the comments. So let's go back to the Loki's bed cam and the frozen last image of me. And I will say, if you've enjoyed today's video, click the like button. If you're not subscribed to my channel, go ahead and subscribe to my channel. And I would like to thank, as always, my executive producers, Kathy Kitchler and Halter Ferguson Financial. And I will see you in the next one.